Hello everyone, this is Vivi. Welcome back to my channel. Have you ever heard of the phrase, the only constant in life is change? And it was said by the Greek philosopher Heraclitus. In order to support this statement, I recently stumbled upon a video on YouTube here that I want to show you. It's relatively short. It demonstrates how our solar system is not fixed. It actually moves through the whole galaxy. When the sun moves, it holds other planets to move along with it because of the gravitational force. So the whole system moves simultaneously and harmoniously with each other. And that's why we don't see the sun actually moves, but it does. How interesting is that? That is in the microcosm. But when we look into the microcosm, so above is below. When we look into the microscope, we also see that the cells and the atoms and molecules, they actually vibrate. When they vibrate means they also move, and that means they also change in physicality. And that proves everything changes. Life is a flow of river, and it constantly moves, it constantly changes. In spite of this perspective, I was curious to reflect and look at my life, how I have changed as a person, because ever since I live in van life, ever since I moved to Canada actually, I feel like I have changed so much. Every year there's new challenge. Every year I feel like I'm a completely different person. It feels like a snake that's shedding skin. So this video has been pretty fun to make and a lot of reflection along the way as well. And I think that it offers a different perspective than the stories in my book. It can also be supplementary or complementary to some of the stories in my book as well, which is more esoteric and more philosophical because of the framework of alchemy. However, in this video, it's a lot more laid back, and I explain the process of growth and change in terms of skill sets and how my personalities, my characters has evolved along the way as well. So let's travel back in time and see how I have changed as a person. This was me about 10 or 11 years ago. I was a total nerd. This picture was taken at MIT when I was a research assistant there. I remember I was a very timid, shy, and reserved person. I always felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I was a little mouse in such a big intellect environment because everyone there was a genius. Everyone was so extremely smart, and I felt really intimidated to be in such a place, and that was the reason why I pushed myself to grad school and did my master engineering at Cornell University. It was quite interesting that during grad school I discovered my passion for photography, even though I was in a scientific field. It was because the Ithaca town in upstate New York is a really, really beautiful place. It's like a little fairy tale place with so many waterfalls in the area. Just the Cornell campus alone has several waterfalls that run around the campus. It's such a beautiful campus. It's probably the most beautiful campus that I have ever seen in the whole country, and I visited quite a few universities there. It was the reason why I chose Cornell, because when I came there, I just fell in love with the place, not with the school, but the nature and the beauty of it. So the campus is located up on a hill, and you can see Cayuga Lake. All the beauties of the buildings, old buildings, and landscape really capture me, and that's why I chose the school. It wasn't. It wasn't because of the program. But anyhow, they did have a pretty decent, pretty good program there. I thought that was interesting that in grad school is unlocked the creative side of me that I didn't know that existed. And in fact, in my project, I decided to not work in research, but to do more creative project like medical device prototype instead of doing repetitive research project. During grad school, I still didn't really socialize that much because I wanted to focus 100% on school and on studying. I did have some hangouts with friends. I wasn't socializing that much, and I took school very seriously. I had always been someone that very studious, and because school was very expensive, so I didn't want to lengthen my time in school and have to pay more for tuition. I just kind of crammed on the courses that I could and just took them on and finished within 1 year. So it was really intense for me because I didn't want to pay a lot of money for tuition. And after 1 year, I decided, okay, now I'm done with school. Now I can get loose a little bit and go socializing and go partying. So after I graduated, I moved to Boston, and I had a lot of fun time partying in Boston. It's such a diverse town with so many people from all different places because there's a lot of scholars, a lot of visitors from around the world that come to Boston. So I got to meet people from all different places because I also got involved in couchsurfing, where I hosted people, hosted travelers, and I met a lot of scholars from different universities, different industry, particularly in pharmaceutical and medical devices industry. I went to networking events several days a week, like every single week, if not like every day. I even went to meetup groups, and I had a lot of fun for 2 years, almost 2 years there, being back in Boston and socializing and engaging, meeting people. And it made me realize that, maybe I wanted jobs that have more social interaction with people, because I kind of enjoyed the people socializing skill, and I had a lot of fun with that. And I didn't know that that was somewhere within me, because all those years in school I just really focused in studying, and I didn't socializing that much at all. I just didn't know how much fun it would be to meet with people, especially people from different backgrounds and different countries, like places that I never known about, because I just love to explore and studying and things that I don't know. So that was the reason why it was very sad for me to leave Boston, and I tried to hang on to that city for as long as I could because I had so much fun there. I came back to Vietnam, and I miss the partying life in the US a lot. It's a weekend and I'm not going out, so this is strange. I think I was pretty depressed at that time. I was drawn back from my family. I separated myself from them, and I created my own cocoon. I didn't really want to talk to anyone. But on the other hand, I kind of miss the party life in the US. So I still wanted to go party occasionally in Vietnam and in Thailand, and that was fun. But somehow it started to fade out when I get to travel more into remote places like Cambodia, northern Vietnam, and Japan. I met many travelers on the road, and I felt like I had more interesting connection with them because we share interest in traveling, and the conversations was more interesting as well, and it's just not as vague as the people that I meet at the party. So my second year in Vietnam, it was getting quiet down, and I started having many reflection, and it was the year that I had to focus on my immigration in Canada also. So there was a lot going on, and the last 6 months in Vietnam, I adopted Marco. So he was a big catalyst that changed me, because during that time I completely stopped going out and traveling or going anywhere. I had to stay at home to raise this little puppy that was very skittish, very difficult, and so demanding. But it was all worth it because he was so really cute. During that time, I also started planning out my life in Canada and what kind of lifestyle that I would like to live. And so I researched into different lifestyle, and that's how I came across van life. So when I got to Vancouver, I started my van within 3 months after moving to Vancouver. The first year it was difficult for me because I had to get used to the new country. I had to get to the new place, got a van, started living in the van, moving around a little bit within those 3 months also, and that was pretty tough. And then I had to look into getting a job. So a lot of things to figure out, so that was pretty stressful. I didn't have that much fun with van life during that time. After 6 months, then things started to get a little easier because I had a stable job, and then I had another offer which was so much better, so I took that one. I get to engage with people, and so it was a lot of people and social networking skill that I love, and it wasn't all that technical, so I had tons of fun with the job. When things started to get stabilized, I get to work part-time and part-time traveling and spending a lot of time being in so many different remote places in BC. I went to Squamish, Whistler, of course, and a lot of time in different islands in the southern Gulf of BC. They all are beautiful. Probably Sunshine Coast is my most favorite. It's just so stunning there, and I had a lot of bear encounters as well in Sunshine Coast. And yes, during that time I started to have more questions about life in general, and that was when I became more philosophical somehow. Like all these thoughts and ideas just pop out in my head, and I never thought that I was interested in philosophy ever. And I even wrote several poems. So that was really interesting for me to see how much I have changed and became more creative over time. And some of these subjects or things I never thought I would consider was the one that started to pop out in my life. So I thought I should dig in and to get to know myself more, because I didn't think that I would be this person, but I turned out to be this person. So that was very interesting. Who am I really in the core, at the soul? So that was really intriguing for me to find out, and I got introduced into spirituality through personal development courses and through a relationship that I was in at the time, and he really opened my eyes up into the world of spirituality and metaphysics, and I just thought that this is a whole new horizon. And there's so much to dig into, and I was just really excited and intrigued to get into the subjects, because when I just thought, well, what else to learn about life, and now a whole new subject just opened up for me to explore. So that was very interesting, and the more I got into it, the more I was curious, and then I started to learn energy healing like Reiki, and I thought, wow, that was just really mind-blowing, that you could feel energy in such a way that I just never thought it would be possible. Like, what is it? It was like magic. So that got me to grow in a whole new level. From 2019 to 2020 was a significant growth in my life, that I went from scientific person, research person, to someone who's living in a vein and started to get into spirituality. So that was the turning corner, the twisting ground in my life that started to go in a whole different direction. I think 2020 was a very interesting year for most people. It was chaotic and filled with a lot of negativity. However, for me, it was a year full of positivity, with lots of growth, lots of transformation, beautiful, memorable experiences, and a lot of adventures as well. So around February in 2020 was a time that I felt pretty unfulfilled with my job, and I had an urge that I needed to go toward the east coast of the country. I don't know why that happened. I just had a strong gut instinct that that was something I needed to do. However, at the time I felt very comfortable and I really enjoyed my life in Vancouver, BC. I had great friends, great co-workers, a stable job that I enjoyed. Even though I felt pretty unfulfilled and bored, but it was at least comfortable. Then it really hit me in March 2020, when everything shut down due to the COVID pandemic, that I realized, well, nothing is really permanent and I should not rely on anyone except myself, and I needed to be independent, and that if I wanted to achieve the dream of my life, I needed to learn to overcome all my fears, step into the unknown, take life as an adventure, and that's exactly what I did. I followed my gut instinct and scared to death. I had so many overthinking questions because of my fear. What would happen if I travel across the country? Whether my van could make it? What if something go wrong with the engine? And whether I could find any resources, water, gas, propane, shower to make my life as comfortable, because I don't know any of that resources would be available on the road. So I did as much research as I could to see whether there's any available showers or places that I could get water at least along the way. Before facing this big fear into the unknown of going across the country, I decided to put myself through a lot of challenges in order to build up my confidence It's like building a muscle at a gym that you need to build up your courage, your confidence slowly. And that's what I did. So I pushed myself to overcome many fears and many challenges, like the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough. That was the reason why I started this YouTube channel, because I was afraid of being in the public eye and speaking up. That was actually one of the challenge in my coaching program, to record a YouTube video. So that's how this channel was started. It was meant to document my growth through this whole journey. I actually cried a lot before I recorded my first video. I was terrified. I was really scared. If you go back and see my first video, and look into my eye, you can probably see that around my eyes it was a little bit swollen, because I cried before I recorded the video. But then, now looking back, I realized, well, there's nothing to be afraid of, and I think I have built up my confidence a little bit along the way to learn how to speak up, to learn how to record video. I realized that there's nothing to be really fearful of, and all of your fears are actually illusion, and it's just what the mind is tricking you in order to prevent you to be growing and to be the best of yourself, to be the better version of yourself. And so that's the reason why it's so essential to overcome these fears if we want to live the life of our dream. A life of extraordinary would requires you to have courage, and these fears are what holding you back from being the best version of yourself. And after 2 years, I realized that was probably one of the best decisions that I have ever made. And so that's how this YouTube channel came about during that time. So 2020 was a very significant year of growth for me. A lot of things changed, huge change. And it was scary at first, but it turned out to be very positive in the end. And it was at that time that I learned to forgive as well. Being in nature it helps me to release the grudge, the resentment, and all the anger toward all the people that hurt me. And so I released everything and started my life anew. It was transformative and it was uplifting. It wasn't easy for me to forgive. It's really changed me as a person to be so much more mature than who I was, and stop blaming other people and started to learn to forgive and to love myself more and to let go of all the things that burdened me for so long. And just when I started driving out of Vancouver, BC, and really make my way across the country permanently without knowing whether I would return to Vancouver or not. In my mind, I was thinking, well, maybe this is going to be a one-way trip and it's gonna be one hell of an adventure. That was when everything started to open after the first lockdown in the summer, and the opening was very slowly in some places. However, it was just enough for me to get to all the facilities that I needed in order to have my life sustained at least and somewhat comfortable along the way. So that was such a huge blessing. So there wasn't that many travelers on the road, and I wasn't really stuck. I could still get to see so many beautiful national parks. It was like being on heaven, especially at the Rocky Mountains, and I thought that was maybe my reward to have the courage to leave Vancouver and to follow my gut, follow my instincts. I had a lot of fun during that time, and I spent 2 months in the Rocky just because I couldn't leave. I hiked every single day, and I think I wear Marco out a lot because we were hiking so much because I wanted to see everything everywhere, because everywhere was just so beautiful, and I felt really grateful for having that experience. And I really love all the national parks that I passed by in BC, Banff and Jasper in Alberta. It's truly a heaven on earth at these places. The scenery is just out of this world beautiful. I think that Trans-Canada Highway is probably one of the most beautiful and also probably the longest highway in North America that I have driven. The scenery is just so diverse. It started with the Pacific Ocean, then the Rocky Mountains, then the prairie, and the meadow in Ontario and Quebec during the fall foliage. It's just so breathtaking. It's like walking in a dream. So my drive was just really colorful, like through and through, because I get to see the wildflowers in the Rockies, and when I get to Ontario, I get to see the fall colors with all the leaf changes from yellow to orange to red maple leaf, and it was just so beautiful. The more I travel, the more I appreciate and respect the beauty, the graciousness, and the abundant love of Mother Earth. It is what really inspired me, and that's the reason why I capture her beauty and share it through my photos and videos. I just hope that her beauty would be reserved for years to come, because without her, we wouldn't exist in this planet. During this time in Sault Ste. Marie, I just happened to meet Crum from Van City Van Life, a pretty popular YouTuber, and I think that many of my viewers here discover my YouTube through Crum as well, because at the time I only just tiptoe with my YouTube as I just started for only a few months.
Yeah.
Another chunk of time.
Yeah. He go all the way to the water.
Right in there if you want.
And Marco is like, nope, not going to the water. That is so cute.
He's so delicate. He's like, nope, not getting my paws dirty. Chrome's like, Cruz, I call him Chrome. Holy crap. I'm just like you guys. You don't care. Whatever dad needs to Cruz, you know, like, you gotta.
Because he has a mom.
Don't go taking it, bro.
Oh, that's so funny.
I thought that was a very interesting synchronicity, because we knew each other in Vancouver through the van lifer community in Vancouver there, but we barely ever get to meet because we always travel in different places in different directions, and here we are just bump head each other at Sault Ste. Marie in Ontario on our travel. So I thought that was really cool. I was heading east toward Montreal and he was heading back to Vancouver. Off we go in opposite direction and travel through different places again, and I don't know when we're gonna see each other the next time. So that's the life of a nomad. You just don't know who's you're gonna meet on the road. Every day is an adventure. So I stopped exploring at the end of the fall that year, and I settled in Montreal for the winter, December 2020. I thought that everything worked out really well for me. Throughout the entire trip, I did not get sick. I never get COVID, and my van did not break down. I met a lot of amazing people. I had a lot of fun, so many adventures. And I always wonder if I didn't make that decision to leave Vancouver to go across Canada, what would actually happen to me in Vancouver? What would life have been? Would it ever be this fun, this amazing? Well, I'm just really glad that I listened to my intuition, because it's guided me toward a much better direction in life to have such a beautiful year. I also learned that it is truly up to us to create our own reality, regardless of what's going on out there in the world, so long as we have a strong boundary and don't get sucked into all the negativities. We have the choice and we have the power to create a beautiful life for us. And I think that was the biggest lesson and the most beautiful lessons for me to learn in 2020. On top of that, I also developed a new skill set this year, which was video editing, hence this YouTube channel. If I could go back in time and tell my younger self 10 years ago that one day I would have a YouTube channel, I think the younger version of me would roll on the floor laughing hysterically to that insane comment. It's just beyond believable. Before I started the channel and my trip going across Canada, I did several manifestation exercise and I did visualize so many beautiful comments toward my videos in my meditation. I could not believe that what I visualized became reality, and all these beautiful comments started fluxing to my channels at the end of the year. It was just mind-blowingly, shockingly amazing. Like all of these comments and the kind viewers, like you really fill my heart with so much gratitude and joy. So thank you so much for making my year super memorable with all of these beautiful comments on top of all the fun that I had that year. It was an awesome year for me. Hey guys, if you want to know more about my life journey and my growth process, you can check out my book Living Through Alchemy that's available on Amazon and Lulu. All the links will be in the description.